Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Thursday, March 5th, 2009. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the U.S., 4:30 p.m. in London, 9:30 a.m. in Bermuda, 12:30 p.m. in Bermuda, and 9:30 a.m. in Mexico City. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL Instant Mail address is CATEX-TV. Now to our news. We'll do a little recap of U.S. economic news. The U.S. stock market, after a good day yesterday, is down about 212 points. As we speak, President Obama is holding a healthcare summit at the White House. He has industry leaders, policymakers, as well as elected representatives. Last night in Washington, D.C., the president hosted a dinner at the White House for bipartisan leaders of both sides of the aisle in the Congress, Democrats and Republicans alike. Yesterday, in an address to the joint session of Congress, Prime Minister Gordon Brown was very well received and laid out a convincing case for the United States to get involved in a global financial restructuring effort insofar as regulatory oversight goes. As I said, the speech was very well received, and the Prime Minister seems to have had a very positive day there. We have another bit of reports coming in from the Commerce Department saying that U.S. factory orders have fallen now for the sixth straight month. And now we'll go to the main reinsurance news that we have today, finally. As we've been following yesterday, the sentencing did come in for Chris Garand, formerly of Gen Re. He was sentenced to 1 year and a day in federal prison for his part in the fraudulent AIG scheme. He's 61 years old. He's from Upper Saddle River, New Jersey. He was also fined $150,000. Last month, the jury found Mr. Garand guilty of 1 count of conspiracy to violate federal security laws and 3 counts of securities fraud, 3 counts of making false statements to the Securities and Exchange Commission, and 3 counts of mail fraud. Mr. Garand had been the head and chief underwriter of Gen Re's finite reinsurance operations from about 1994 until August of 2005 in the U.S., and he was, of course, accused of participating in a scheme to falsely inflate AIG's reported loss reserves. So I believe there are 2 more remaining to be sentenced. The sentencing seems to be now falling into line. Mr. Ferguson, Mr. Milton, and Mr. Garand. And I believe the next one up is the former chief financial officer. So that, I think, will be in early April. The Insurance Day is reporting some information today on Australian wildfire claims. In an article from Jonathan Rest, he says that claims from the Victoria bushfires have now passed the $1 billion Australian dollar barrier. That's about 640 million US. He's citing the Insurance Council of Australia as a source. The council member companies have completed 80% of all insurance assessments. The breakdown is coming in approximately like this. 83% of the claims so far relate to property and contents, and 17% relate to motor vehicles. They don't have a date as to when the balance of the claims could come in, but apparently as they move into their fall there, as we move hopefully into our spring, they're apparently moving out of the danger zone of wildfires, so we can all touch wood and hope that that comes to pass. And some other economic news, the European Central Bank cut its benchmark interest rate to 1.5% from 2%. This is its lowest figure since the ECB began setting the rate in January of 1999. A little bit to the west, the Bank of England cut its interest rate to 0.5%. This is the lowest level since the bank was formed in 1694. All of this, of course, as European nations attempt to boost their recession-hit economies. The Bank of England also announced they would increase the amount of money in the country's financial system by 103 billion US. The bank hopes that this will expand the supply of money in the economy, a process known as quantitative easing. In principle, it should encourage banks to lend to the private sector, such as households and businesses, stoking monetary growth and stimulating activity. In the U.S. Yesterday, the Supreme Court handed down a decision in a major setback for business groups that had hoped to build a barrier against injury lawsuits. The Supreme Court said that state juries may award damages for harm from unsafe drugs even though their manufacturers may have satisfied federal regulators. The ruling affected the drug company Wyeth. It could have significant implications beyond drug making. Many companies have sought tighter federal regulation in recent years, in part to shield themselves from litigation. Now the states can come in the back door. The court, by a 6-3 vote, upheld a jury verdict of $6.7 million in favor of a musician from Vermont whose arm had to be amputated after she was injected with an anti-nausea drug. Wyeth, the drug's manufacturer, had argued that its compliance with the Food and Drug Administration's labeling requirements, which is a federal law, should immunize it from lawsuits. The Vermont State Court disagreed, and a jury at the state level found them liable. The Supreme Court upheld that. Pharmaceutical companies were especially disappointed by Wednesday's decision. A spokesman from Merck, for example, said, "We believe state courts should not be second-guessing the doctors and scientists at the FDA." Unfortunately, the Supreme Court is composed largely of states' rights justices. Yesterday in the afternoon, there was an event in Cologne, Germany. This concerns the collapse of the Cologne archives. Again, this is from today's issue of the Insurance Day. This is from Anja Kruger. The collapse of the Cologne City Archive building in downtown Cologne is likely to result in a multi-million euro insurance claim. The contents of the building were insured for 400 million euros, which is a little bit over 504 million US. The archive building collapsed yesterday morning, and speculation in Cologne suggests a north-south extension for the city's subway system prompted its collapse. Listen to this. According to a statement by the City of Cologne, the contents of the Cologne's archive building were insured for 400 million pounds. One medieval manuscript attributed to Albertus Magnus has been valued at around 4 million euros. The spokesperson for the city said, "We have no idea how extensive the total damage is." I'm sure it's going to be quite high. In the U.S. this morning, the number of workers filing for state unemployment benefits fell by about 31,000 to a seasonally adjusted 639,000 last week, but the smoothed average of continuing claims moved higher into record territory. First-time claims fell back from a 26-year high of 670,000. It's thought that the lower 639 is due to difficulties adjusting for the federal President's Day holiday. The smooth version of new claims over the past 4 weeks increased to 642,000. This is the highest since October of '82. The smooth average, or version, is considered a better gauge of labor market conditions than the volatile weekly number because it smooths out one-time distortions caused by holidays, bad weather, or strikes. Now, we'll go to a word from our sponsors, and we'll come back with the rest of the news. Sorry about that.